Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, you're here for the Facebook Live Generational Wealth on Wednesday. If you missed last week, you missed a treat. Once again, I say the cavalry is not coming. The creek is rose, the levee is giving way. It's up to us to save us. So, once again, last week we had a great topic. We talked about FedEx. And the wise men coming in and being a part of our community that we help, that we develop, that they're doing great things. They got a $1 million contract with Amazon and FedEx over a year's time. We are really showing progress in our community. They're talking about bringing on more people. And so as we ended the last class, we wanted to talk about how can we get involved in this generational wealth? How can I participate in what's going on around me? Yes, we know that the interest rates have went up, ladies and gentlemen, on home buying. But one of the things that we do here on the show, we talk about how we can actually be a part of the society or the economic program that we are a part of in our own community. It's up to us to save us. The cavalry is not coming. The creek is rose, ladies and gentlemen. The levee is giving way. It's up to us to save us. So tonight, we're going to talk about compound interest. We're going to talk about simple interest. We're going to talk about those high interest rate payday loans. We're going to talk about how we can get out of that rat race to make sure that we are in a position to invest into our own community, just like the wise men did. It's not unusual for us to have success stories like Wise Men Logistics. It's not unusual for us to have success stories coming into our on our show. I've had a lot of companies that are in our community that are doing it. Insurance agents. Scotty Nichols was an insurance agent. Billy Higgins came on and he talked about his a franchise that he had, Hood's franchise. We've had attorneys come on. Corey Scott came on and he talked about, hey, this is what the attorneys are doing. So if you are really trying to get locked in, if you're really serious about generational wealth, this is the show that you got to come to in order to get your foundation, in order to excel into the new generation. We can no longer expect other people to do for us what we can do for ourselves. We here at Mad Capital Investment Group, we're starting a campaign and we're going to have a great turnout. Last week, a couple weeks ago, we had a great turnout at the home ownership extravaganza. We had people that was driving around in our community, buying houses in our community, creating generational wealth in our community. So we're going to do that again. We're going to do that again. We're going to create generational wealth in our community. We're having a 100 home ownership seminar. That means we want to get 100 people into a home by December 31st, and we're going to start the kickoff on June the 4th. I'm going to talk about it at the end of the show, but on June the 4th at 9,000 Keystone in the Crossing from 11 to 1, we're going to be having a seminar. We're going to have realtors there. We're going to have appraisers there. We're going to have home inspectors there. We're going to have banks there. We're going to have everybody there to help you become a home owner and generate wealth for you. We want to help our community become wealthy again. We want to make sure that we're doing the things that we need to do to help ourselves, because we believe here at Mad Capital, if we have home ownership, we can have generational wealth and we can start investing in our communities. I personally believe that when we have generational wealth and we have income in our communities, that crime rate will go down, school with our kids' scores will go up, and we will have mentors and coaches like what we saw over the past couple of weeks investing into our community. It all starts with home ownership. Home ownership is the pinnacle of what the United States was actually based on. They said that this is the land of the home of the free and the home of the free and the home of the brave. You know, when you come to America, you say, hey, this is the American dream. So we want to make sure that we're not living the American nightmare in our credit situations. So what we're going to do tonight is talk about our credit. So let's get into it. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, the cavalry is not coming. The creek is rose, the levee is giving way. It's up to us to save us. And so we all know in our community, we have the high interest rate loans. They have redlining going on in our communities. They don't want to lend in certain areas. Okay. So why don't they want to do these things? And why do they want to give us a car loan or a high interest rate credit card, but they won't let us invest into our communities? If I can go out and get a car loan, I should be able to go out and get a personal loan, because guess what? I'm investing, but that's not how it goes. So today we're going to talk about some of the loans that they give us in our community. And tonight I'm going to give you some tips on how you can pay those loans off, get your credit score up to where it needs to be, and then we can turn around and invest in our community once you've gotten those loans paid off. So the first thing we got to do, we're going to be talking about simple interest loans or compound interest loans. We're going to talk about simple interest loans. We're going to talk about compound interest loans. And as you've been watching the news, we've known that the interest rates are going up. They're going up higher and higher and higher and higher. Okay. So we want to understand that, once again, that only because they give us money in our community, we got to learn how to take that dollar and invest it. So a lot of people are telling us that, you know, we should use our own money or we shouldn't use our own money. We should do this when we're talking about buying and selling properties. We should do that. At the end of the day, it's based upon your level of understanding of credit. I'll say that again. At the end of the day, is based upon your level of understanding of credit. If you can understand credit, then you can take other people's money and invest it and make money off of it. Credit becomes a problem when you don't know how to utilize it and it starts to compound. And that's where compound interest comes in. So what happens? Let's talk about it. So if you have a home, and this is where compound interest comes in, and we think that we're getting, something good, but actually it's something bad. So what happens is compound interest comes in when you actually have a mortgage on it. Most of the time you have compound interest on a 30-year mortgage, and you have interest that's set from the 1st to the 30th. That's when the interest occurs. So it goes from August 1, if you're doing 31 days in August, so August 1, 2, and every day you charge interest. So at the end of those 30 days, that interest is accumulated, and that's where your monthly payment. So when you pay that monthly payment, a portion of it goes towards your interest and a portion of it goes towards your principal. Okay. So you have, like if you had an $800 payment, so on that 30-day window, $800 has occurred, say $780 goes towards your interest, $20 goes towards your principal, because you're at the beginning of the loan. As you begin to pay that loan off, you're paying less on your principal, so your interest, so you're less on your interest, so more will go towards your principal as that loan is being paid off. It's amortized over 30 years. Okay. So what happens is that when you miss a payment or you're late on a payment, the interest compounds. So that means that if you got a 7% interest rate, that interest rate goes up. It doesn't necessarily goes up, but more of that payment goes towards the interest, because you, instead of paying interest on 30 days, you're paying interest on 45 days. So the question becomes, how can I don't make any more money than what I'm already making. I've been working my job for the past 15 years, and I'm not making any more money, but sometimes my bills become due, and I make the payment on the 5th, and I have a grace period until the 8th. So guess what happens? That interest that between the 31st and the 8th is called compound. It compounds. So when you make that payment, you are still upside down. Now, on your credit report, it will show, hey, you made your payment, but on that principal, Okay, that won't show that you have it's going down anything on your principal. So how do you begin to understand, or how can you get that compound interest off of your account? Okay, I'm gonna give you some tips on how to do it. Okay, and I'm gonna float this down here at the bottom, and I want you guys to really pay attention of how we can actually help you guys, uh, tips to getting this paid off. So the first thing you got to do is know how much your balance is. That's the number one thing that you use. Tips to pay it off, you got to know what cards is on your credit report. Know what your balance is. The second thing is pay it if you can. You might not be able to pay the whole balance, but pay if your payment is $780 or $800, pay $100 at the beginning of the month. Because what happens is if you have just say $1,000 credit card and you make that payment and your payment is say $100, if you make a $10 payment at the beginning of the month, they're not going to charge you interest on money that you had already paid. So if you're in a revolving credit, that means that you can keep borrowing against it. You're only going to pay interest on what you're using. Now, on a closed end, that means it's a set time, like a car loan. You you're only going to be paying on it for 5 years, or a mortgage. You're only going to be paying on it for 30 years. What happens is if when you make that payment that you make is called simple interest. So when you make that payment is going to go towards your principal. More of it is going to go towards your principal, because remember, at the end of the day, every day you're charged interest. So if it's not amortized over 30 days, it's only amortized over 10 days. That means more of it is going to go towards your principal than your interest. So in our community, they're giving us high interest rate loans. They're giving us 15% interest car loans, 21%, 28%. I've seen them up to 29% interest rate loans in our community. So what can we do? We must understand how to get it paid down early, and how can we make it so it's affecting our credit score in a positive way instead of a negative way. And as you know, payment history is a big part of your credit. The second thing is credit, how much you have on your balance. Okay, that's called credit to income. That means that how much credit do you have out there compared to what is your credit limits. So if you have $1,000 on a credit card, most banks want to see you utilizing only $300 of that $1,000. So if you use more than the $300, then it's going to affect your credit in a negative way. I'll say that again. If you use more than $300 on that $1,000 credit line, then it's going to affect your credit in a negative way. So when you're talking about compounding interest, so if you wait until the last day or you go over the day and you pay on that account, then what's going to happen? The interest is going to compound. So you're going to have a negative pay history, on not derogatory on your credit, but your balance is not going to go down. It's going to go up. So you're going to pay it. That balance is going to go up. So you paid $100. You're going to owe a little bit more because you have late fees. You have all those things going, compounding the problem. Okay. So what must we do? Know what your balance is. That's the first thing that you got to do. Know what your balance is. And if at all possible, I'm not saying make more payment, just make your payment early. If you got a payment due on the 31st, make your payment on the 21st. Set yourself up to make payments early so that they won't charge you interest on the full 30 days. Now, one caveat, the banks have gotten very smart. So if you start setting up auto pay and you make that payment every single month on the, if you got a revolving account, if you make that payment every single month on the 21st, they're going to charge you interest for 30 days. So what you want to do is make your payments 15 to 20 days after you made your last one. Okay, so count it up. 1, 2, 3, pay it. 1, 2, 3. Now you don't have to pay the whole balance, but what I would suggest that you do is make your payments to where the total balance is paid in full on that due date. Because if you don't, it can report negative on your credit report. So compound interest is a tool that the banks use to make sure that you stay in that debt. Okay, it's just a tool that the banks use, that you stay in the debt. Compound interest is the interest rate on a loan or deposit calculated based on both the initial principal and accumulating interest from a previous period. So it's over a time. It's not over like some loans that you may experience. It's not over a period of time to where, hey, I'm not going to charge you any interest like when we do our personal loans. If I know somebody, I might give them a loan and just say, hey, man, pay me back. And then you don't make the date, give me $5 more. But that's not how banks do it. Okay. Banks charge every single day that you're late. Okay. And then they charge every single day that you took out that loan. So you have a 10-year, 20-year, 30-year. So compound interest is how Wall Street makes money. So we talk about the wealthy. The wealthy love making loans, payday loans, to individuals who they know have a high risk, quote unquote, for paying it back. They have a very high risk, quote unquote, for paying it back when they give you simple interest loans. What does that mean? That means that they'll charge you 18, 19, 20, 21%, sound like a credit card, 23%. And what happens is that once you start getting involved with making those payments, it's kind of a bait and switch. So once you start making those payments, and just say, for instance, something comes up, you use that credit card is, you maxed out, you have an electric bill due, something came up, all the bills are due at the same time. So you say, hey, I want to go get a payday loan. So that payday loan is it's 23, 24. I've even seen them at 28% interest. And so when you get that loan and you working, okay, then guess what happens? You literally is working for the creditor instead of working to get out of debt. So what should you do? Okay, you went and got the payday loan. What should you do? You're not making any more money. It's supposed to be just a bridge loan, but really you're living off of those loans. So what should you do? First thing you do is call the creditors that you owe and set up a payment plan so that when you are actually making that payment, okay, they will not report to your credit report negatively. And most of the time, most lenders will work with you if you call them. So what does that mean? Instead of going and getting that payday loan, which you're going to be paying 28 to 30% interest, right? Why don't you call the lender? Call the lender and say, hey, my payment is going to be on this date. This is what I'm doing. This is what happened. I had hardship. This is what I need to do. When you're able to do that, that's when people start to see that you are a good steward over your finances. They won't report that you're late. And guess what? You're not paying that high interest rate. But let's go back to this. The cavalry ain't coming. The creek and roads and the levee is giving way. We need to understand, how do we get out of it if we've already done it? A lot of times I hear, Cepeda, if I would have known you a couple months ago, I wouldn't have did this or I wouldn't have done that. So let's talk about how we can get out of these simple interest rate loans. Okay. So some of them are called interest only loans. That means that every single time you make a payment, it all goes towards interest. It never goes towards your principal. So when you start today If I got a $10,000 loan and I say, okay, this is an interest only loan, that means that I personally, when I make my payment, I'm not going to get any benefit. Okay. So because I'm not going to get any benefit, every single time I make a payment, my balance stays the same. Guess what? If I'm one day late, guess what? It started to amortize negatively. So if I started off with 1,000 and I miss and I go to one day late, it might be $1,010 instead of $1,000, instead of $99. So 9,900, whatever your payment is. So we got to understand in our community, they're going to give us high interest rate loans. They're broken up into three areas. One, simple interest rate loans. Two, compound loans. And three, payday loans. A lot of those loans are very, very, very expensive in our community, especially payday loans. Or even we've been in a market now where they're giving 30 days or 90 days, same as cash. Okay. So even when you get in those type of deals, something happen and 90 days go by and you don't make that payment, they're going to report on your credit report, but they're going to charge you a heck of an interest rate for that furniture. So you might buy some furniture for $1,000 and you got to finance, and then you mess around and you don't make that payment, then you might be buying that same piece of furniture for almost $3,000 because you did not budget the right way. So another thing that I suggest that you do to help you deal with finances, credit, and payment is develop a destination, develop an idea of when you want to receive or you want to see that bill paid off. I'll say it again. You want to set up a visual destination. You want to have a goal in mind. And a lot of us try to set up budgets, and we're great at setting up budgets because if everybody was doing a budget, then we wouldn't have some of the problems that we have. So what is really going on? A lot of times we don't understand the interest rate that we're paying. A lot of people is talking about, man, I'm going to pay my student loans off before I do anything. That's the number one thing that I hear when I try to encourage people to get into home ownership. Well, let's talk about your student loans. Joe Biden has said, I want to forgive all student loans. Well, that's a noble thing. Okay. But the interest rates on those student loans are very, very low. And they also can increase your credit score as you make payments. I'll say that again. Those interest rates are very low and they can affect your credit score in a positive way. So when you're trying to set up payment histories and working with your creditors, you want to make sure that you know what your credit is and what creditors you have and what interest rates that they're charging you. For the lack of knowledge, you will be destroyed. You must understand what you have possessed. There's two types of people in this country here, in the United States of America. There's two types of people, the informed and the not informed. If you are informed, then you're going to be able to transition into this new culture that we're starting to receive. And they're starting to say that we're going to have a problem with our economy. Inflation is going up. Gas prices going up. It's just going to go full circle. So don't be alarmed. There's four types of people, and you can write these down. When you're trying to get your credit straight, there's going to be four types of people that's coming around. And you must understand what simple interest is and what compound interest is and what payday loans is. And once you start understanding that and you start making the adjustments, these are the four people that's going to come around. And they're really a math equation. Those that add to your solution to your problem, those that subtract from you, those that multiply you, and those that divide you. So I'll say it again. Those are going to be four type of people in your stratosphere or in your circle when you start to understand what your credit is and why you're moving in a different direction. That Gucci bag that costs you $1,000 at 18% can hold off until it goes on clearance and it's at 5%. So, what type of people or what type of things is going to be prevalent to you? One, you're going to go around people that are going to add to you. Either they're going to add to you, subtract from you, multiply you, or divide you. Depending on what season you're in, those are the four components that's going to affect what you do. You have to believe in yourself and bet on yourself. And I said, and I'll say it again, you have to bet on yourself in order for you to be able to get out of the rat race. When you're talking about compound interest, where you just missed a couple of days, I've seen people, it was a young lady who I did a loan for a long time ago. And what happened is that she only missed maybe one or two payments throughout the 30 years. But every single time she made a payment, she made it on the date or 2 or 3 days later. So what happened is over a period of time, that interest rate occurred, and so she owed more than what she thought. It can get very expensive if you don't know what you are and what you're doing. I've heard people come to me and say, hey, Cepeda, I want to be an investor. Well, the first thing you got to do is understand if you are trying to become an investor, you must understand compound interest, because that's what that bank is going to charge when you're talking about investment property or hard money lending. So what us to realize in our community, let's do this. Before you use that credit card, find out what the interest rate is and then shop it around. The second thing that you need to do is don't always live above your means. What type of budget should you be on? You should be able to live off 30 to 40% of your income. I'll say it again. You need to be able to live off of 30 to 40% of your income. You might say, well, Cepeda, I can't do that right now. I gotta make some more money. If you start living off of 30 and 40% of your income, what it would force you to do is find more income in areas that most people are not looking, so that you can make sure that you can pay your bills. So when you're talking about compound interest, the number one thing that you can do is make biweekly payments. Because what it does is cuts your interest rate. Once you more of it goes towards your principal once you get going. And one of the things I want to share with you, just a rule of thumb, make sure that you do not get discouraged when you miss a payment. The problem becomes a problem when you commit to missing payments and you have a bad habit in your finances. That's what I'm saying. If you constantly are struggling to find how to make ends meet in your personal finance, take a strong look at what you spend your time doing. Do you spend your time hanging out with your buddies? Do you spend your time at your job reading? Do you spend your time with your boo? You got to understand what is the most important thing to you at this point. I know when I was looking as a young man, 23, 24, 25, I got married at a very young age. And what happened was, because of the relationship, I was able to stay within my means. I never had to worry about compound interest. I never had to worry about payday loans as much. I've taken payday loans out before because I didn't know any better. But now that I know better, I'll do better. And I never had nobody show me what I've showed you. We didn't have the internet. The internet is very new compared in the grand scheme of things. So what does that mean? As you be starting to set up accounts with different companies, You need to understand what is compound interest, what is simple interest, what is it that you got to do to where you make your payments and you're not upside down when you get ready to move. One of the ways that you can do that is making sure that you bet on yourself. So that is correct. That's what Kimberly Harvey said. She said you have to bet on yourself. That is one of the number one things that we promote here at Mad Capital. You must begin to bet on yourself. And the way that you bet on yourself in this aspect is to become knowledgeable of what your interest rate is. If you ask the average person what is his tri-merge score, he'll look at you and say, I got a FICO score. A FICO score is no more than one of the scores that's on your credit report. The banks, they average all three of them together, and they take from three credit reports, TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian, and then they take the middle of the three. I'll say it again. They take the middle of the three, of the TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. Now, there's a fourth credit reporting agency out here, and they really haven't made any traction in the Midwest yet. But that might be coming down the pipeline pretty soon, which would be very exciting because we have more buyers than we do have homes. And that's why they call it a shortage. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, the cavalry is not coming. The creek has rose and the levee is giving way. It's up to us to save us. So the third thing that we're going to talk about is simple interest. Simple interest is a great interest rate that banks use. When you invest $100 and then they say, well, we're going to pay you back 0.0002 on your money, that's almost saying, hey, listen, I'll take your money, but I won't do any banking with you. So we got to hold people accountable to where we're spending our dollars. We got to make sure that people understand that if you're not rocking and investing with me, then I can't be hanging around you that much because I'm trying to get out of this rat race that I'm in. You might not feel the pain, but I do. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, the cavalry is not coming. The creek has rose. The levee is giving way. Hey, if you're on our live tonight, let's do some likes. Let's ask some questions. Today is been pretty busy for us today here at Mad Capital. As the interest rates are going up, my team is really on top of it. You can have all the help that you want. We can offer you all the help that you want, but until you reach out and say, hey, I need some help to help me get my credit fixed, to help me get onto generational wealth, to help me get to where I want to be as far as a career, as far as my goals, as far as where I want to live. That is a question that you have to ask yourself, okay? I can't answer that question for you, okay? You got to understand that when you start to work on your credit, principal and interest, guess what's going to happen? You're going to start to make those payments because you're sacrificing in another area. It's called opportunity cost. What is it that you can be doing other than what you're doing, and how much is it costing you to be over here than to be over there? So that's called opportunity cost. So you want to make sure that when you're starting to make your payments on your mortgage, on your home, you want to make biweekly payments. And then you most of the time you'll pay it off 7 years early, 7 to 5 years early. So you want to make sure that you use biweekly payments to pay on your debt. What's going to happen is when you start to pay biweekly, then what's going to happen is you're going to see your credit score go up. And then the very investments that you have made now, you will be able to inspire that person to make a purchase because of what you did. You can make this happen for yourself. The cavalry is not coming. The creek has rose and the levee has given way. It's up to us to save us. Let's talk about real estate now. What type of interest rate is on the real estate? Compound or simple interest? It all depends on how your loan is structured. If you have a reverse mortgage, that's one thing. If you have a conventional loan, that's more going to be your compound interest because it only goes into effect when you miss your payments. Simple interest only is interest on that grace period. So if you're at all possible, you want to make sure that you're making your payments 15 days early. So instead of you making a 30-year mortgage, it might become a 25-year mortgage, which is more palatable than for you to sit up there and say, hey, I got to make all these payments, and guess what? I don't have the money. We have a song here, money makes the whole world go round. Well, guess what? It does in a way. Because if I have money, then I can get the best health care. If I have money, then I can get the best food. So we must understand money is king, but credit now has become king because that's a delayed satisfaction. So that means that I can get in a mortgage, and then if I'm a couple days late, they won't ding me, but what they're going to do is charge me interest. So you got to understand that you're going to be charged interest when you are sitting up there shouting and saying, hey, great, 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 great. Well, the banks are saying great too, because they know that you're going to have to make that payment plus something at 28%, 25%, 30%, so that, so you can stay in whatever you're doing. Okay. So I want everybody to understand that having credit and understanding credit, because it's not the credit that's the problem. Them extending you credit ain't the problem. The problem becomes when they extend you credit and you take it and you don't know what to do with it. So now you're coming out of your own pocket to try to invest into yourself. No, I'm telling you now, the money is so cheap, they're almost giving it away, but we can't have access because we haven't done the right things to own our own businesses. Understand what simple interest is. Understand what compound interest is. Knowing exactly when your payment is due and what you have on your balance. You would be surprised on how many people don't even know what reports on their credit report, let alone how much they owe. They think that sometimes it's just going to come out of the air and become osmosis to where I pay that bill. That's not how life is. You have to understand what we're doing here. You have to understand credit. Credit is the new language of choice in business. I said credit is the new language of choice in business. It doesn't matter where you go. If you want to have something, it's going to be credit. Now, it might not be American Express, but it's going to be something dealing with, I'm giving you this and you're giving me this. It's an exchange. So we must understand that we must begin to understand that credit has to be king in our community. We must understand that the way that we can build up our credit is, one, know what's on your credit. Two, know what your balance is. Pay it early. Three, make bi-weekly payments. Make bi-weekly payments. You're not going to make any more money, but if you make bi-weekly payments, you'll still get that thing paid off early. What should I do now, Cepeda? I've been sitting here. I've been listening to you. It's been kind of dry, man, but you know what? What really are you saying? Well, I'm telling you that if you're going to have generational wealth for you and your family, you must understand credit. You must understand why the interest rates are this low, why we must act now, why it's Cepeda sitting up here talking about credit in such a way to where like we don't understand. So a lot of times it's not that your credit is bad because something happened. A lot of times it's bad because we don't know how to fix it. And so we'll pay these companies $200 to $300 to fix our credit. And guess what happens? They never understood how to fix our credit. Only thing they did was sold you a class. So what I'm showing you is not trying to fix your credit. I'm showing you how to do it so that the expenses will be low And so you can do it for yourself. You can bet on yourself. So now once your credit score going up, guess what it will attract? It will attract the people that is on the like same page. So when we're talking about simple interest, compound interest, payday loans, those are all loans that will hinder you as an individual. So look at this for a minute. If you can afford it, $1 million car or a $50,000 car, what's the difference if you can afford it? The problem comes in when you can't afford it and you go and buy that $50,000 car. Or you go out to eat every day. Or you got the latest design clothing and your kids to have the latest design clothing. And you're working to work for somebody else. So if you're not understanding what I'm saying, give me a call. Okay? So we must understand that the Calvary is not coming, ladies and gentlemen. The creek is rose and the levee is giving way. It's up to us to save us. When we start talking about simple interest, we must understand those are the type of credit cards that we have. Compound interest, when you go and make a deposit in a bank, they're not really paying you that much on your money. Why? Because they're going to lend it right back out and make compound interest on it. So you must understand that you got to find ways on how you can invest in your community, not my community, your community, and make sure that your community is thriving in your industry. So what we got to do here? Write this down. The first thing you got to do when you start understanding credit is start dreaming. Start envisioning yourself completely debt free. Your mind can do a lot of things when it wants to. Start telling yourself that I can do it now, not tomorrow. I can do it now. I'm ready now. Because if you are listening to my voice, you have the capabilities of at least learning about credit. Secondly, you got to dream. Second thing you got to do, you got to have a destination. What is your destination? What is you want for your end result? When you have compound interest, it can discourage you because you can make a payment for 6 months and not really see the balance go down. Why would I set yourself? You might be asking yourself, why would you do it? Because you don't know. You don't know. Nobody's never talked to you about compound interest unless you went on YouTube and got it. Then let's talk about simple interest. If you can make it through compound interest, you definitely can make it through simple interest. When you're talking about simple interest, you're making sure that payment is on time by any means necessary. That's your traditional loan. If you get simple interest on your side and the customer service manager on your side, then you got a winner chicken dinner. So you must understand that simple interest is what you're going to be paying once the debt is starting to go down and you want to extend it. Simple interest. Best way to remember compound interest: miss a payment, you're going to be paying interest on something twice, on your principal and the part that you use that is still available. So you must understand this. This is the new code that goes on in our community. The new code is simple interest, compound interest, payday loans. Understand what those three are, because those are the most crippling effects on generational wealth. Because when you're talking about doing it with a simple interest loan, then you run the risk of getting charged way more than what you traditionally took out a loan for. So tonight, what I wanted to do was kind of slow it down and let's talk about interest, because next week we're going to talk about money and real estate so that we can start purchasing as much property as possible so that when the recession comes, and it will, then you don't have to worry about it. because when everybody else is paying a high interest rate, high mortgage interest rate, which the new term should be compound interest and single interest, then that will help you get to where you want to be. But if you don't never take out time to know what your payment is, and if you never take out time to put together a budget, and when you put together this budget, and I know they don't tell you this, you have to dream about being completely debt free. Because if you don't, simple interest and compound interest will eat you alive. You have to stay encouraged throughout all of the madness. Compound interest, simple interest, know what they are. Know that you can make biweekly payments. If you got a 30-year mortgage, you're going to pay that thing off 4 to 5 years early. If you make biweekly payments, I didn't say make extra money, but if you make biweekly payments, you're going to pay that thing off early because you're paying more on your principal. Everybody got that? You need to teach your sons and your daughters simple interest, compound interest. I have a granddaughter, and I teach her how to create interest. If I give you this, I'm going to give you a piece of this. This is how you got to teach our children, and this is what you got to start doing yourself. Okay? Let's talk about hard money loans, because a lot of people have inquired of me about hard money loans for homes. Okay? So I'm going to kind of veer off right now for 1 second, then I'm going to bring it back full circle. So when you're talking about hard money loans, what does that mean? That means that you have a hedge fund or an individual that have some amount of cash that is willing to lend to you for a discount, for an interest rate, and how much they charge in fees. So most of those loans with a hard money, which is called a hard money loan, is called mostly they do interest only. So when you're trying to do a hard money loan and you're trying to fix up a property, you're going to be paying interest only. That means that hard money lender 3 years from now or a year from now, he's going to come back and you're going to owe him the same amount of money. That's an interest only loan. I'll say that again. You can make your payments to him for 5 years, and if he has you on an interest only loan, the principal is not going to go down. You're just going to be paying it every single time, interest only. That's unlike compound interest. Compound interest, simple interest, a portion of it goes towards your principal, portion of it goes towards your interest. Same thing with business loans. You got to be careful with business loans also. They have simple interest and compound interest also. But the difference and the caveat with a business loan is this. Are y'all ready for this? The cavalry is not coming, ladies and gentlemen. The creek has rose and the levee has given way. Let me show you what's getting ready to happen with business loans. When you get a business loan, guess what happens? You get that line of credit. You might think that it's set up like a personal loan to where it's due in 30 days. Net 30. They call it net 30 or net 45. If you pay it on that particular day, you're late. You got to pay it 15 days in advance in order to stay in good standings. So we want to understand, we must start to talk about what creates wealth in our community. We're not going to logistics. The company, Wiseman Logistics, who was here last week, they told us that they was getting ready to go to the banks to get loans to finance whatever they was trying to do. What type of loan do you think that the bank is going to give them? Do you think they're going to give them a compound interest loan or simple interest loan? Based upon what they've given us in the past, most of the time they'll be compound loans. They'll lend us money, but they want to charge us an astronomical fee and make it so that it's very difficult for us to pay it back. And then they'll foreclose on us, and then guess what? We're back at square one. So we must do is begin to understand the system, understand that it's becoming an international system. Understand that the number one fight that you're going to have is not the interest rate. It's the people that you go around. I'll say it again. It won't be the people. It won't be your interest rate. It won't be your monthly payment. It won't be the simple interest or your compound interest. It'll be the people that you go around. And the reason why I say that is because they're not on the same level as you. What you'll do is start to try to keep up with the Joneses. So when you're talking about simple interest, compound interest, it's going to hit you if you miss that payment. And then the compound interest is going to multiply. That's why it's called compound. That means that you need to make sure that if you do something when you're dealing with compound interest, you better make sure that you're moving and grooving to make sure that you pay that loan back. The last tip I'm going to give you before we end tonight is when you are looking at simple interest and compound interest, make sure that you know what you can afford. Because what will happen is that if you miss a payment, the interest rate goes back up, and then you want them to come back and do an adjustment. They'll do it, but it's going to eat up all of your equity, and that's what we want to keep. We want you to keep your equity in whatever you're doing in your business, in your home, in whatever you got going on. We want you to keep your equity, and this is how you do it. Ladies and gentlemen, the cavalry is not coming. The creek has rose and the levee is giving way. It's up to us to save us. We are going to be having a homeowner seminar on June the 4th at 9,000 Keystone in the Crossing. And it's going to start at 11 o'clock. If you have ever thought about buying a house, inbox me tonight. We will get you all set up. The seats are limited. We're going to be going around to builders. We're going to make sure that you're taken care of. We want to be your lender of choice when it comes to home buying, business lines of credit. What must I do to have generational wealth? We want to be that institution where we cover the whole map. I have a great team now that we're starting to expand into other markets. Like, for instance, we have, which is the president of the company, Mariah, is doing a phenomenal job on making sure that all of these things happen. And I'm giving some kudos to the staff that makes this happen for me every single Wednesday. Okay? Tia, those young ladies are really starting to gel and really starting to promote what we're doing. So if you're looking to buy a home, T, Mariah, or Stormy, they will make sure that you're completely taken care of. If you have talked about generational wealth, the interest rates are going up, ladies and gentlemen. And they're telling us on the horizon that this economy that we're ready to go into is getting ready to have inflation. Inflation only means that the simple interest rates and the two interest rates I've been talking about all night in payday loans, okay, those are the things that people are going to start having. So what we must do is understand that it's coming. And what we've got to do is get our credit up. And we're going to talk about credit next week. What are the 3 credit scores? And I want you to set it up, because if you ever thought about home ownership, compound interest, simple interest, payday loans, we must begin to stop those type of loans. And you might be saying, well, Cepeda, it's got to be one of those 3. Let me say this. Why don't you become the lender instead of the borrower? That's when you can start to really have success, when you start to become the lender and not the borrower. And that's what we want to get you to. That's why I'm taking our time to show you about compound interest, simple interest. What is the negative effect? It's always you're going to owe it. You just like putting your money into a bag with holes in it. It's just going to keep going through. You're never going to get out of the rat race. You're going to look back 4 or 5 years, man, my balance ain't even went down that much. Bi-weekly payments, you'll start to see your balance going down. If you have ever thought about getting out and making a living for yourself, you need to be there June the 4th, ready to go. Give us a call, 317-847-2810. We are here to help you. Once again, there is no cavalry that's coming. The creek has rose, the levee is giving way. It's up to us to save us. We have a great staff that wants to help you get into a home. Okay? We had a great opportunity 2 or 3 weeks ago. If you missed it, this is another opportunity where you can come in and set your family up for success. There's no reason why you should be paying high interest rates right now after you've listened to this show. Because what will happen is if you make biweekly payments alone, that's going to cut that interest rate and it's going to cut the time off of your credit card. I would say this, as a student loans, with your student loans, a lot of people have asked me about student loans. I just got a question. Student loans. Student loans are a great tool to help you build your credit. If you are trying to purchase an FHA loan and you are in default of a student loan, you're going to have to pull that student loan up and set up a payment arrangement before you can get here. So student loans are great because they're low interest rate. Now, I understand that the government is talking about forgiving all student loans, but I would rather for them to work with us on the high interest rate credit cards than for me to work on my student loans. I'll say it again. I would rather for them to pass some legislation with these high interest rate credit cards than for me to get some legislation about student loans. Because student loans are very low interest rates. These high interest rate credit cards, compound interest, simple interest, those are the ones that's killing us. So yes, student loans, keep them, make the payments on them so that when you begin to get the FHA loan, you can go right in and get it and not have any worries. We must begin to educate ourselves, ladies and gentlemen. If you are renting right now, or if you're paying a high interest rate, or just say you already just bought a house, right? You still need to come because you don't never know when you might need some extra cash for a rainy day. And if you have those lines of credit, which we can tell you which banks to go to because they have scores too, we can tell you and we can help you facilitate all of that. June the 4th is when we're going to kick off our 100 homeowners seminar. If you're looking to upgrade on your home, Stormy, Tia, Mariah, Kendra, myself, we're here to help you. If you already have an interest rate and you're trying to set up a business, give us a call. We can help you. Look at what was on our show last week. We had a major company talking about, hey, this is what the platform that they launched their program off of. If you are looking to get involved with buying and selling houses to supplement your income, give us a call, 317-847-2810. Don't wait until it's too late. The interest rates are going up. You already are behind the game. We will be having, in our seminar, we will have homeowners that will be selling their homes. So you might not be in a bidding war. These are all off-market properties. So what does it mean to be an off-market property for those who don't know? That means that it's not listed with a realtor. Okay? Once again, I got the staff here. If they are listening, there goes Stormy Green, 868-7905. Give her a call. She'll be able to take your name, number. She'll put you into contact with us. We'll get everything uploaded for you, get you going. Mariah Jackson is another one. She's a banker at First Financial. We will make sure that you are completely taken care of, okay? We want to make sure that your credit in your situation is tailored towards you. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, the cavalry is not coming. The creek has rose and the levee has given way. It's up to us to save us. We have all type of programs here for you. We're going to have realtors, okay? We're going to have realtors that's going to be there to help you. Lakeisha Lately, she's going to be there to help you. If you you need a realtor, Lakeisha Lately, we're going to be promoting her. She's going to be there. We're going to have an appraiser there. Tamia Reese, she's been doing appraisals for over 20 some years, and she was one of the first appraisers to get certain distinctions that was in the whole state. So once again, we're going to have qualified people there to help you get to where you want to be, and it's going to be tailored towards you. It's not going to be tailored towards nobody else. Simple interest, compound interest, we're going to help you get out of debt. We're going to help you create your own opportunity. We're going to have the 700 Club. That's going to be kicking off. The 700 Club is going to be, if you're looking to get into a network of people who you not feel ashamed, and you want to try to get to a 700 score to where you can go into the banks and stick out your chest and do the things that you have always dreamed of doing. This is going to be the time where you can come in and sign up for all of these services. We're going to have everybody there to help you. Lakeisha Lately, she's going to be there as a realtor. Wow. We're going to have Mariah Jackson there as a banker. Mariah is going to be talking about how you can do banking and how you can help and how compound interest and how simple interest can benefit you instead of hurt you. Wow, that's going to be there to help you. Nobody has talked about these things in our community. We've been more extracted from rather than invested into. I'm telling you today to bet on yourself. Bet on yourself. The cavalry is not coming. The creek is rose and the levee is giving way. It's up to you to save you. Ladies and gentlemen, June the 4th, if you have ever dreamed about owning a home, come on out. If you already have owned a home and you've lost your home, or if you want to come out and get your credit straight, bring your kids. Let them see how it is to be financially secure, what a financial institution looks like that is helping your community, that looks like us, talks like us, believes like us. We're going to have, like I said, we're going to have realtors there. We're going to have builders there. We're going to have appraisers there. Okay? Everything that you want to know about home ownership, we're going to cover. And more so than that, we're going to take you around and look at the properties and educate you right there on the spot. And if you're looking to get pre-approved, if your credit score is there and you have 2 years of employment and you got your bank statements and your W-2s and everything, bring them to the event, we can get you pre-approved right then and there on the spot. We're trying to make it so that when you come and do something with Mad Capital Investment Group, your experience is different than any other experience it is. Compound interest, simple interest, we are going to educate you on that process. We're going to show you how you can get out of debt. If you have always wondered, how do I get out of debt? It seems like the more money I make, the more it goes out the door. If you've ever been there, I have. It seemed like the more money I was making, the more it went out the door. The more money I make, the more it goes out the door. Yeah, I never could get out. Why? Because I didn't have a plan to get out of debt. When you start to understand what simple interest and what compound interest is, and you can set up biweekly and you can start making the payments at different strategic times throughout the month, and I'm not making any more money, I'm just way more smarter about it, then guess what happens? I'm able to get out of debt because I have a purpose. And when you have a purpose, you become unstoppable. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to become a homeowner. I want you to become financially free. I want you to be in a position to where you can invest into you. We can make it happen for you this coming June. June the 4th, 11 o'clock, 9,000 Keystone in the Crossing. You're going to start to see flyers. You're going to start to see us on Facebook. You're going to start to see us maybe even on the radio. We want to make sure that you do not have an excuse why you cannot become a homeowner before December 31st. We're going to bust our butts to make sure. We're going to find houses wherever you want to move. We're going to try to find a house for you in your side of your budget so that you can become a homeowner. And then when you become a homeowner, I just ask that you come back on the show, send us a like button, tell us that we're here. Like I said, we have people on standby, will be on standby to help you get into a home. We're going to have people like Stormy. I think she gave us Stormy Green. Once again, Stormy Green. She put her number up here. She give her a call. She will be able to help you. She will be able to assist you. Okay. Now she's not a loan officer. Okay, she's just a person who's going to take your information and get it over to us and get it to the right person. I'll be reaching out to you. A young lady by the name of Mary Beth will be reaching out to you, and a young lady named Billy will be reaching out to you, or Kenra will be reaching out to you, because we're going to help you become homeowners. Okay, Mary Beth she's going to take the ball. We have a great team that's going to take you step by step throughout the process. If you are afraid of compound interest, simple interest, payday loans, if you're tired of doing that, you're tired of renting, give us a call. 317-847-2810. That is the direct number to me. I'm the one who's going to pick up. I might put you on the phone with somebody else, but you're going to have access to the best staff to help you get out of the rat race of being in high interest rate loans. Let us help you get to where you want to be. We enjoyed Wise Men Logistics last week. We enjoyed the in the month of December and the Thanksgiving Day. We talked about how we can eat better. We talked about how we can actually get insurance for us. We talked about the different type of diets that we have. We had Sharita Lacey that came on here and talked about the diet that where, we need to have diets that involve not alkaline, but she was more talking about biometrics and things of that nature, your body count, what type of foods that your body is attached to. We had Chikara came in and she was talking about the alkaline and what we can do to eat healthier. Okay, we had people that came on and talked about insurance and how when we get ready to pass away after the pandemic, as we coming out of the pandemic, a lot of our loved ones have left us, and guess what? Wasn't insured, so we want to make sure that if something else happens or a rainy day happens, we're ready for it. We've had banks that came on here and they talked about, one of the banks got caught up in the redlining. And, banks have credit scores too. And banks got caught up in redlining and they have to give money to the community. We've talked about home ownership. We've talked about business ownership. If you want to start a trucking company, we had a young lady that came on in here that talked about she had a transportation company, and she was talking about how Hot Shot Movers, and we talked about that company, which we celebrated a young lady who did it on her own, who was addicted. Then she came out of it, and then she said, hey, I want to make a change. She took her kids, Hot Shot Movers, and now they're one of the biggest moving companies. You Google them, Hot Shot Movers. Guess what? They're out there. Okay. These are companies that came in on our show, that's in our community, that is doing it big time. They're looking to hire. If you have a son that's out there or a daughter that's out there that's looking for a summer job, I would suggest, just got back from college, give those people a call. We can help you help yourself. The Calvary is not coming. The creek is rose. The levee is giving way. It's up to us to save us. If you have not taken out time to bring your kids in and bring your family in and watch the show, shame on you. Because you don't have the excuse to say, hey, we haven't talked about it. We've talked about insurance. We've talked about health, we've talked about business, we've talked about church, we've talked about women issues, we talked about men issues, we talked about social issues. I grieve today because of the shooting that has happened in the schools. If we begin to understand what goes on in our community, then we can start to make a change. We must begin to become homeowners. I believe that once we become financially free, we will be able to be economically free, and those are two different things. If we're financially free and economically free, we can be spiritually free and we can be emotionally free. If you are looking to bet on yourself, give us a call. If you have a business idea, we can help fund it. If you're looking to buy and sell properties, don't go on the YouTube videos and try to watch it. Give us a call. We'll help you. If you're looking to purchase a home, give us a call. We got Lakeisha Lately, which is a realtor. We're going to push her. If you are looking to get into home ownership, give us a call. We can get your loan done through Loan Simple. I can help you get you done. We are also going to be able to help you help yourself. And June the 4th, come out. We can help you there. You're going to get pre-approved right there on the spot, know exactly what you are. You'll be able to ask the questions that you were afraid to. Don't be afraid. Bring your questions. Come out. Jam-packed. We only got limited seating on the bus, okay? We got limited seating on the bus. The bus will be going around to builders that will have houses available, that will be available within 30 days. You could be moving into your home. You could be moving in. So we're going to have builders there. We're going to have a real estate agent. If you feel uncomfortable, a real estate agent will be working with you. Lakeisha will be there showing you everything that's going on. Make sure that you have that opportunity, okay? We want you to bet on yourself. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, we talked about compound interest tonight. We talked about simple interest tonight. Those are the two things, in my view, that's crippling our community. We don't understand what we're getting when we're talking about interest on the money that circulates in our community. We don't understand how it's circulating. The reason why it circulates out of our community, guess what happens? Lakeisha just said, hey, I can help. I can't wait to help y'all all, okay? So once again, Lakeisha Lately, she's listening to the show. She's betting on herself. Once again, you cannot lose with betting on yourself. Okay, we're here to help you. I am making it my passion, our commission. By December 31st, we want to have 100 people in homes. And if you are looking to buy a home, this is the place for you. You're not going to be jacked up. You're not going to be upside down. We're going to tell you where you're at. We're going to help you get to where you want to be. And guess what? We're going to celebrate you, okay? We're going to celebrate you. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, inbox me, give me a call, put it in my instant messenger. Next week, we're going to talk about home ownership. We're going to talk about the different programs out there. And if we're going to talk about business credit next week, I'm going to have a couple of guests on the show, and we're going to talk about business credit, hard money lending, and where should you invest your dollars, okay? I might even twist somebody's arm to come into the show that's a realtor that's going to be promoting what she's doing too. We might just twist her arm. But next week, if you're looking to buy a house and you've been turned down and you've been on that, and you've been on that circle, and you know it's been a circle. People are saying that there's no homes out here. There are homes out here. You just got to have the right team to get you into your home. We are going to make it happen for you. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, the cavalry ain't coming. The creek has rose. The levee has given way. It's up to you to save you. You can't blame nobody else when like California Honey Nut, she said, let's get involved with our community. Yes, let's get involved in our community. Let's make it happen. Next week, if you have any questions about home ownership, what type of programs out there, how long does it take, what do you got to have, guess what? I'm going to make sure that those questions get answered. Once again, Calvary's not coming, ladies and gentlemen. The creek is rose, the levee is given way. It's up to us to save us. Till next week, we're going to be talking about home ownership. Home ownership, home ownership, home ownership, because I believe that generational wealth starts there. We want to get a piece of the pie, and we're not going to stop until we do. It's up to us to save us. The Calvary ain't coming. The creek is rose and the levee is giving way. It's up to us to save us. Till next week, keep betting on yourself. Thank you for letting me come into your house. Once again, thank you. Betting on yourself. Bye-bye.